Good morning. This morning, interesting facts is about the wisdom of Christ, right? And we're going to get into it from the book, The Wisdom of Christ. And listen what the Apostle Paul said. For the message about Christ's death on the cross is nonsense to those who have been lost. But for us who have been saved, it's God's power. The scripture says, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise and set aside the understanding of the scholars. So then, where does that leave the wise, or the scholars, or the skillful debaters of this world? God has shown that this world wisdom is foolishness. For God in his wisdom made it impossible for people to know him by means of their own wisdom. Instead, by the means of the so-called foolish messages we preach. God decided to save those who believe. Jews want miracles for proof, and Greeks look for wisdom. As for us, we proclaim the crucified Christ, a message that is offensive to the Jews and nonsense to the Gentiles. But for those whom God has called, both Jews and Gentiles, this message is Christ, who is the power of God and the wisdom of God. For what seems to be God's foolishness is wiser than human wisdom, and what seems to be God's weakness is stronger than human strength. We stop it there. And I just wanted to strengthen a video that I made earlier this morning, saying when I want that we are not on the same page, because your wrong is my right and my right is your wrong. Your front is your back, but my front is my front, right? So I don't call front back and back front. And this is what the book is saying, right? Now, if you understand what this is saying here, for God in his wisdom made it impossible for people to know him by means of their own wisdom. Their own wisdom is calling front back and back front, good bad and bad good, right? Why? The food wicked, right? That's their wisdom, which prove that it is foolishness, right? For God in his wisdom made it impossible for people to know him by means of their own wisdom, instead by the means of the so-called foolish messages we preach. God decided to save those who believe. Jews want miracles for proof, and Greek look for wisdom, right? Well, I'm like the Greek. I'm looking for wisdom. Other people look for hype. Other people look for material things. But I just go seeking for wisdom, hungry for wisdom, want to know who is this Christ? What color did he have? And when you try to know these things, people say you're idiot. Right? So that's why the Apostle Paul said, well, this world wisdom is foolishness. He said, as for us, we proclaim the crucified Christ, a message that is offensive to the Jews and nonsense to the Gentiles. So when I came out and I said, I now call back front and front back, it offensive to those who have that wisdom, right? Them hate to hear me when I come out and said, I love, and you know what? It is offensive to those that who is pushing the backbone. When I come out and I said just the front, and I speak of the front, it is offensive to those that who is speaking of the back. When I speak of good, it is offensive to those that will speak of bad. When I speak of life, it is offensive to those who love to take life. When I speak of truth, it is offensive to those that lies. right? Because they turn around everything. So me and them will never be on that same age, right? So henceforth, it is not hard to detect them. Their spirit not gonna mesh with mine. We ain't gonna be friends. Dennis Brown said, love and hate can never be friend, right? Wrong and right can never be friend, right? Do the things that is good. And when you do the good things, get good things, don't say that it is bad. Please, good, make your good be good and your bad be bad. Right? For God has shown that this world wisdom is foolishness. And I'm just giving the awareness of what you are doing. Please examine yourself, man. And say, "Uno see back where you go. Uno see back where you meet. Uno see back where you see things. Uno see death over life. Uno see relish the death more than the living. Uno see give the dead more respect more than the living. Uno see back where you go. Uno can't see it." May I stop the one here, so you know, right? Argument done.